Canceled with Brooke and Tana being canceled was written all over both of their charts. I'm a Vedic astrologer and I focus on the difference in relationships between people. And so looking at both of their charts, you could tell that one of them was always built for the fallout and then the other one never saw it coming. Tana Mongeau's chart is insane. Like, it's exactly what you would imagine. She has an Ardra sun conjunct moon, so she's like expecting chaos. She lives in the storm. And she knows that she can rebuild after. So big endings, chaotic endings, they aren't life-ruining, they're just another day. And then she has her Punarvasu Mercury conjunct ascendant, so that's just like comeback queen energy, and it's already there. She can reframe a situation, spin it, keep the audience engaged. People root for her in a way that they don't root for Brooke. And then she has a Kritika Venus, which gives her really sharp instincts. She knows when it's time to cut people off. And with her Magha Rahu as well, like, she's positioned in a place of power in the public sphere, always focused on like securing and keeping the throne. Like, she might look a little bit like all over the place, but that bitch knows about her bag. So when it comes to their YouTube channel, their shared YouTube channel for Canceled, the fact that that was Tana's to begin with as her vlog channel, she got it to 2 million subscribers, like, she knew that that was hers. She thought about it, and she also knew that that gave her leverage, not to spite Brooke, but because she understands like survival in media and the fact that that means owning your own creative. But Brooke's chart is completely different because Brooke has an Anurata Sun conjunct Pluto, so she deeply attaches in partnerships and relationships of any kind, and so she underestimates other people's control until it's too late. And then that paired with her Mrigashira Moon, which is adaptable, but it also has a tendency to just go with whatever anybody else is saying rather than like locking in something long-term that could protect them. And then with that Atara Bhadrapada Saturn retrograde, conjunct Ketu and Juno, this is a karmic partnership signature. It means that a lot of like partnerships, friendships feel faded and then suddenly end. It also is a placement where contracts should be ironclad because Atara Bhadrapada is ruled by Saturn, but they often aren't because there's sort of blind loyalty until the lesson hits. And Purashara, Jupiter conjunct Vesta, like, she has a deep belief in loyalty. Brooke puts faith in the shared mission, and in her chart, it's positioned to make her assume that the partnership itself is her safety net. So she probably thought that her friendship with Tana would be enough to protect her and that Tana would look out for her. So ultimately, the issue is that her chart leans towards trusting personal rapport over paperwork, so she probably doesn't have any formal contract. It's very possible that she doesn't have login access, that there are no IP rights spelled out, that she assumed that she'd keep benefiting from ad revenue on YouTube as long as the friendship lasted, and because of her placements, she likely believed that it always would. And that's exactly why it felt like the rug being pulled out from underneath her. Because, like, did she know it was coming? Astrologically, no. Like, there's nothing here that suggests like preemptive control of the situation. That Saturn K2 Juno conjunction especially points to being hit with an ending that she sees as deeply unfair, but was ultimately karmically inevitable. And her Mrigashira Moon also reads as a kind of like, I'll figure it out as I go, versus like, I have secured my exit strategy. And so really for Tana, like, this is just a speed bump. She has other forms of revenue, other sources. She thrives on reinvention with her Ardra and Punarvasu mix. And she has redundancy built in because of her multiple income streams, multiple platforms, multiple channels, and her own audience before this podcast. But Brooke's career is directly tied to this collaboration. And so now that the platform is going, the visibility, the revenue, all of it is tied to the collapse. And unless she builds something brand new overnight from scratch, which with that Saturn K2 isn't going to happen overnight, then she's going to essentially fall flat. Like, in this partnership, like, Brooke really has that setup of like this deep all or nothing, power entangled lens. Like, it's not just about like, oh, we're friends. This is ride or die energy. And then when that energy meets Tana, who also has the same Anurata Pluto because they are generational mates in that way, it creates that Pluto-Pluto conjunction. And that's where it gets really intense because that could be great for a shared mission and like long-term loyalty, or it could be a control kind of like standoff, right? Once the issues or interests no longer align. And so in this case, it's not just like, oh, Tana's chart is overpowering Brooke's. It's that like only one of them has the chart to pivot when that dynamic shifts. And to make matters worse, Brooke has a Swati Venus, and Tana has a Chitra Black Moon Lilith, which makes their dynamic really attention grabbing naturally because it creates that kind of charm meets controversy. But because the Lilith sits with Tana, she decides when to lean into chaos. She decides when to pull back, and Brooke's Venus just amplifies whatever narrative Tana has. And Brooke is also inclined to make decisions based on how she just feels about somebody, her trusting someone, her gut versus actual facts. And finally, when you look at their charts, the biggest one for control over shared ventures is when you look at Brooke's Atara Vajrapada Saturn conjunct K2 and Juno, opposite Tana's Maga Rahu. Because this is really, really big. It shows that Brooke's karmic lessons in this life are about partnership loyalty and ending in betrayal. And Tana's Rahu is ambitious, it's opportunistic, it's regal. And so she's always going to go for the healthiest, like most strategic option for her. And like, that's so valid. This axis alone shows that like Tana has the throne focus and Brooke is bringing like commitment energy without any sort of strategic agility. So ultimately, Tana is chaos adaptation, like at its finest. And like Ardra natives, because they expect that mess, they're prepared to pivot. She always has like a, oh yeah, I'll come up with a new plan in 10 minutes strategy. But Brooke is Saturn heavy. Her chart is really intense. And so she's rooted in loyalty and endurance, which is great for long-term bonds, but terrible when you need to make a rapid pivot in a crisis. So like for her, she would double down and ride it out. If this was her on her own, she would have just said, yeah, let's do that. Like, let's just hold out and eventually the controversy will pass. But Tana knows when the writing's on the wall and she saw that it was time to call it. So ultimately, like, this was a lethal combination of charts that was always going to end in tears. And based on the Anurata and Atara Vajrapada placements in Brooke's chart, hidden tears likely in a dark room. So follow for more.